Welcome to LOA Today. Walt and Life Coach Linda Armstrong here. Today is Friday, March the 29th, 2019. It's 4 p.m. in New York, 1 p.m. in Los Angeles, 8 p.m. in London, Sydney, Australia, 7 a.m. I believe. Wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for an episode of LOA Today. Your daily dose of happy. Friday afternoon is a happy time because I get to reconnect with my friend Linda Armstrong, who is... well, first of all, she is a life coach and energy coach, but she's also one of the most well-connected people that I know of to energy. And I always get like a vicarious energetic connection that way just by talking to you, Linda. So, I wanted to let you know, I really look forward to this every week. This is kind of cool stuff. How you doing?
That's fun.
Yeah.
Good. I look forward to it, too.
Yeah, it's great fun. I love it. And I also...
I kind of love that we never know what the heck we're going to talk about, too.
Isn't that great? Yeah, it just kind of comes out of thin air. You never really know what it's going to be. I wanted to let you know something else, too. I was looking over the viewership numbers for the various episodes that run every week. The show I do with you is always number one for the week. We have more numbers than any... Yeah, we are number one compared to all the other 9 shows during the week. Yeah. So another good reason to look forward to it. Isn't that cool? It's fun. And it's not by a little bit either. It's actually by a lot. We've got a strong majority going on here. So.
Oh, cool. Love it.
So good stuff.
So we need them to email us. If they're not, maybe they're listening like after the fact, but maybe they can email us things they want to talk about.
Absolutely. Right? Yeah, good idea. In fact, I'll give out my email address. Just send an email to walt@loatoday.net. I'll get it, share it with Linda, and yeah, we'll be glad to bring it up on Friday afternoon shows. That's a lot of fun. So, well, I was asking you before the podcast what's going on. I said it's been relatively a slow week. And I can kind of concur for me compared to past week. It's been sort of a slow week, but a good one. I have been working on a number of things, some more successfully than others, but that's the way it often goes. I wanted to ask you a couple things as kind of a way to get the conversation started, but also because I just kind of wanted to ask you. I've been kind of running into and kind of vicariously exploring different modalities people have for connecting to energy. I mean, you just kind of do it more directly. You also use the spirit cards and so forth. But Bill G is now doing the Tuesday afternoon show with me and Alex, and he uses the dowsing and the pendulum kind of a thing. A lot of people are using tarot cards, and even as I'm saying all this, I'm thinking to myself, Walt, you never would have said this stuff 10 years ago. You would have thought this was all nonsense. Here I am asking it as a serious question. But the question I really have is, to what degree do you think these various practices or methods or whatever are actually the thing that's doing stuff, and to what degree do you think it's our belief that's driving this stuff?
I think they are all tools that we can tap into, and it's awesome. And there's an example of the abundance of the universe, right? Mm-hmm. That there's so many different tools because maybe some resonate with some more than others. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've used them all, but and then you have your favorites, like I really love working with crystals. Mm-hmm. I love the oracle cards, tarot cards. I don't read tarot, but I love listening to tarot. I may have tarot decks too, but for me it's really paint by numbers with tarot.
Good description. I like that.
The astrology stuff, I grasp a little bit of it. I'd rather listen to someone else who really knows it. Mm-hmm. I have awesome dowsing rods, I haven't really clicked with that. So there's so many different things that are available. You got to find which one works for you. It's like one coach is great for someone, but not for another person. You always want to find those people who are, of course, in resonance with you. And it's the same thing with all of these tools. I mean, I'll do smudging. I'll do sounds to clear things.
Okay, I have to ask, because I don't know what smudging is, so you got to tell me what smudging is. I haven't a clue what that is.
So smudging is just like burning incense, basically, or burning sage, or there's like so many different ways to clear the energy in a room just with fragrances and smoke and different things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Essential oils. So, I dabble with that stuff. I've never wanted to really hone in and learn it. Okay.
Because you found the tools that work for you. You found the ones that were most effective.
Because I was so drawn to it. You got to find what you're drawn to. Like, I love aromatherapy and essential oils, but not enough for me to really study it. I'd rather let someone else tell me about it.
Okay. Okay.
So that's my point. There's so many different ways of feeling, sensing, transforming energy. Mm-hmm. And lucky us, and there's always something new coming, right? There's always something new, like the weaver, right? It's a pendulum, but it has these magnets on it wrapped in copper, and it has another effect than just a regular pendulum. I love using my pendulum too. And muscle testing and the pendulum to me are the same thing. I could get my yes or no through muscle testing, or I can get it through a pendulum. I have one I carry with me all the time.
Really?
Beautiful crystal pendulum that is so in tune with my energy that it's like quick. You want to get tuned into your own pendulum so that it's working with your energy.
Why do you think that certain things are things that you or anyone tune into better than others? What is it that makes one thing more tunable than another?
It's just, why do we all have different fingerprints?
That's it, okay. There's no conflict.
We all have a different energetic fingerprint. Let's put it that way. I'm glad I said that. And so that's the same thing. Like some things appeal to one person more than another. Mm-hmm. Or you just tune into it. It just makes sense. It just clicks. Or it just works better because why does it work better? I don't know. I guess you're more in tune to the energy of that tool and how it works.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's my guess.
Jeffrey has something that he wanted us to talk about. He says, can Linda speak on unexpected emotional triggers? What is happening energetically when it happens? And is there a way to heal it in the moment?
Unexpected emotional triggers? I think they're all unexpected.
I suppose that's true, isn't it? Until it happens, you don't really know what's coming right then and there.
At least in my world, it's like it shows up or doesn't.
Yeah. That's true.
So any trigger is the way I look at it, it's a blessing. Okay, so look at it. What is it? This thing or this person who triggered something within you and it brought all this emotion up to the surface. Well, thank you, because that means there's emotion to clear. Mm. And the sooner I don't fight it, resist it, blame others for it, the sooner I look at it. What's it trying to tell me? What is it for me to learn from this outburst of whatever? The quicker you move through it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to be with it. Like, what was it? When was it? Yesterday. It's yesterday. Feels like a lifetime ago. But my mood was really kind of crappy. And so I told my husband and my son, I'm like, I'm really in a bad mood for no reason, okay? I'm just processing something. I'm purging something.
So like, fair warning.
Okay, we'll stay away. So we kind of play with my house, Mm-hmm. When something's going on for someone, we're like, oh, good, let's let that one go. I don't care what it is. I don't care what belief brought it up. I don't care what experience was triggered by who knows what. I mean, you could be walking down the street, and in your peripheral, something triggers you. You don't even know why. Why am I like this all of a sudden? Mm-hmm. The thing is, you don't have to know why, at least the way I look at it. You just have to feel that something has been triggered. And now, I'm like, yay! As awful as it might feel sometimes, I'm like, all right, cool. Something's there. Thank you for bringing it up. Okay, I hate the way I feel right now, but you know what? I'm just gonna let it process and do nothing about it and go watch some TV or something. Or I'm gonna look at it, maybe meditate and say, okay, what is this feeling? Okay, where do I feel it in my body? That's a good technique you can do. Where do I feel it in your body? Oh, I feel it in my heart center. Okay. And then you could imagine going into the feeling and see if you can call up a part of yourself that has felt this way before, a younger part of yourself. Oh. Right? So then you're like, oh yeah, I remember I was in kindergarten and I felt like this because the teacher made me feel stupid, or I peed in my pants, or whatever it is, right? Yeah. Something happened. And then you can kind of go into that and look at it and like, okay, well, talk to that little one. Like, what do you need right now? Mm-hmm. And maybe you hear, it's like a process with yourself. You hear like, I just need to be understood. You're like, okay, well, I'm here for you. I understand you. You comfort that part of you. But the thing is, it's just a way to go in and look at something. Maybe it's easier to find it when you imagine it's a young part of yourself. And then you allow spirit to bring it to your mind, what it is. Like, oh yeah, this feels like, and you know what? So maybe you tripped and you maybe you're in a crowd, somebody accidentally or purposely pushes you and you fall and you hurt yourself and you're like pissed off. You're like, okay, what does this feel like? And then you're like, if you were able to go within and look at it, you're like, this feels like that time when I failed my algebra test. It has nothing to do with being pushed. I'm just making up a story here.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you don't want to try to get in the head and connect the dots. You just want to track the feeling. Allow whatever comes up to be, because it doesn't make sense. It's just energy. There's some component of that energy that experience triggered for you to release an earlier time. So, I don't know. It's a process I might get into. Spontaneous transformation technique. Jennifer McLean. She teaches that type of a thing. So I just gave you a little quickie rundown of how you do it. And I've done that with other meditations that I use through Orrin and DeBen. Like all of the meditations I use, they usually have you look, a lot of them, at a sub-personality part of you. We did one of those meditations on the show.
Yeah.
So you're allowing it to come up, and you do some clearing around that energy, maybe giving that part of you what they were actually needing at that time that they didn't get. So that's why they've been carrying it around for all these years. But without being analytical about it, just following the energy. So I feel like I'm repeating myself now. So did that come across?
I think I've got what you're saying. What I've often heard is that when you're going through this process and a feeling comes up, you go with the first one. You go with the first thought that comes to your mind so that you don't get analytical about it. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can do that. Just trust what comes up. The more you do it, the more you trust what came up without questioning. You're like, oh, that's weird. Okay.
Okay. I
think I shared, did I ever share what I did with my wisdom journal?
You might have. I don't remember.
Something I learned in one of my energy mastery classes. And, I'm like, yeah, all right, journaling. I was never much into journaling, but I know that it works. Anyway, I remember one day, I don't know if I'm repeating the story, I guess it's meant to be repeated.
That's fine.
I was in one of these funky moods for no reason. And I couldn't figure out what it was for myself. I'm like, all right, so I went out my day. I went to talk some karate classes. I had some clients that night, and that always brings me out of it, especially coaching and doing healing work with people. I'm always in that great energy. So you forget whatever was your own that you were going through earlier. Go to sleep that night, wake up the next morning in a real funk again. I'm like,
oh no.
I guess it's still here, right?
Yeah.
Then I had my cleaning ladies over. I had two huge dogs, and they were puppies at the time, and a cat, and like all this chaos. My husband, my son, everybody was home. So I was like going to flip out. I was either going to flip out and start screaming for no reason, or crying, or what.
Wow.
So I had the journal. It happened to be on like the desk. I'm like, okay, this course is talking about this wisdom journal. And they told you to take the journal and just write whatever comes to your mind. So I picked the thing up. I'm like, you know what? I'm going aside with this stupid book, and I'm going to write about what's going on because I don't know what's going on. I'm like bitching and moaning about it, right? I go outside of my deck and I start writing. And you're supposed to just write anything that comes to your mind. So you're just dumping the energy. We're not trying to make sense of anything. So I start writing, okay, well, this is supposed to work. I think it's pretty stupid. What the hell? I got to check it. If I'm going to talk about this, if I'm ever going to teach it, I got to know that it works. Like, I'm starting like that. And then, because I was still in a miserable mood, tears start running down onto the paper, onto the book. And now I'm crying. So I'm just dumping any thought that came in my mind onto the paper. And then I remembered some kind of experience. It just popped in my head. So I wrote it down. Then I remembered something else, and I wrote it down. It didn't make any sense. They had nothing to do with each other. I wound up just doodling whatever came in my head. 4 actual experiences popped into my mind that I wrote about, and then I happened to just look up, and I have a big yard, right, and there's trees out at the back, and I'm like, wow, look at those leaves. Like, I was seeing. Everything was so crisp and bright. The colors were really vibrant. And so I'm looking at them like, wow. And then I noticed that I felt huge. I'm like, whoa, this journal thing works. I was so excited. I'm like, I feel amazing. I didn't feel amazing when I started writing.
No.
I go in the house, like so excited, like a little kid. I'm like, guess what? I feel so, remember I was crying and screaming? I feel so good. All I did was write down some stupid stuff. And I feel better. I'm telling you, I wrote 4 things that nothing made sense. They had nothing to do with each other, and my rational mind couldn't figure it out. But somehow they came up. I got them out on paper. I released the energy.
You know what? I suspect, I've tried journaling a couple times, more than a couple times, and with minimal to no results. And I suspect I was probably stopping myself because I would start to write stuff down that didn't make any sense. I said, well, it can't be right, and I'd give up on it.
Just let yourself write.
Yeah.
You're not writing an essay for someone to read. It's your book, and you can write whatever nonsense you want to write in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so you just let it go. It's me that says, well, somebody in 300 years from now is going to find it and is going to talk about this ridiculous journal this guy wrote. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? 300 years from now, we'll be so advanced. Like, oh look, they were just that archaic thing of dumping your mind into a piece of paper.
This is true. Well, actually, I mean, all of us can certainly identify with the feeling of, the day is a crappy day. It just, stuff, I don't even know why, but for whatever reason, this day's going wrong. And I don't think I ever really, in the past, associated it as being an energy thing. I just thought people have crappy days, so I had a crappy day, and it still happens. But thinking about it in terms of it being an energy thing, it's a different way of looking at it, because it means that, well, first of all, it's a way of giving ourselves permission to have the crappy day. Like, it's okay. We don't have to get all upset, oh, geez, I'm having such a crappy day. We can let go of that.
Right.
And the second thing is it finally gives us like a way out, like, through journaling or some other tool. Like, oh, okay, I can actually do something about this crappy day. I don't have to feel crappy all day long. So, I mean, regardless of what the law of attraction aspects are.
That's like that course I have with these different tips of how to do that kind of thing. Yeah, and there's so many things you could do to just acknowledge where you're at and then do something to lift yourself out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this journaling dumping is a good way. All right, what else were we talking about?
I've got a couple other questions here for you to address. Jeffrey we already did Jeffrey's question. Sarah says, I struggle to meditate. Can you give any easy tips to start off? Thanks in advance. And she also says, I've gone to classes and they say, see the light. I find I never see the light they speak of. I can still the mind to be in the moment. I feel I do it wrong, though.
All right, this is what I'm going to tell you. You're not doing it wrong. There is no right freaking way. Find your own way. That's my message I always get, right? And I'm telling you, I can so relate with you because I used to think I couldn't meditate. And I even signed up for this meditation course because I'm like, I don't know why I'm doing this. But there was a purpose to it because that course brought me to the healing work I do now. And it was halfway through that course before I finally got it. It was a year-long course because I kept trying to have everybody else's experience.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're trying to see the light, because they say to see the light, the more you try it, you're just not going to see it. Mm-hmm. The best thing you can do, and you know what? Actually, I'll give you a little tip that I think works for everybody to kind of quiet your mind a little bit. And you know what? I've been meditating a long time, and I still have thoughts come in. But I can't put it this way. I don't think I ever have no thought for more than the time it takes me to realize I have no thought. Right? But you don't need to have that. You want to just get in a place where you just feel your energy expanding. Now, I find I get the greatest thoughts. It's like maybe I hear my guides better with ideas and different things that come to me that I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And I almost want to get out of the meditation and go implement it sometimes. But, so, stop trying. I'll tell you a story. My mom, I used to do this meditation thing every Sunday night for my cousins, right? Because they wanted to get a little more into kind of stuff I do. So I'm like, all right, I'll do meditation for you. Well, I would hook up by telephone and I do it. Okay. My mother wanted to do it, and a couple of my aunts. And my mom just wanted to try to she wanted me to be proud of her. She wanted so badly to be able to meditate because it was something I was doing in my life, right? So we'd be on these calls. And then after the meditation, I would ask everybody what they experienced, and maybe one's like, "Oh, my grandmother was like one of my aunts. My grandmother was there, and she was talking to me, and it felt so great." Another cousin might say, "Oh, I was just in this place with all these purple lights, and it was just moving, and it was so peaceful." And another one might say, like all these different things that, and everybody had their own experience. It was way different. Nobody had the same experience.
Right.
And my mom would be like, "Well, nothing happens for me." Right?
A feeling that I know very well, I might add. I want to emphasize that was my experience for a long time.
Yeah. So listen to this, though. This is my point of why I'm telling the story. But she kept coming every week to do it, right? And she, just like me in my course, I kept hearing everybody's experience and trying to have their experience. And finally, when I gave it up, I had my own experience. I'm like, wow, that was cool. I want more, you know? Anyway, my mom, after this one particular one, she says, I'm like, how did she goes, "Oh, I gotta tell you mine." I'm like, okay. She said, "Well, I decided that I don't know how to do it, so I'm not even going to try, so I'm just going to listen to your words." Right? She goes, and the room was dark, and I was listening to you, and it was like somebody put a bright light on. She goes, and so I'm like, "Who turned the light on?" And she peeks her eyes open. "It's dark in here." She closes her eyes, and the light was still on. She's like, "Oh my God, the light is on," but it was blowing her away.
Yeah.
So then she was losing it now because she pulled herself out of it, and then she wanted to find the white light again. She couldn't get the white light back. Okay.
I understand that
she's
feeling.
telling that story.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Mom, you did it. You did it by not trying to do it." So just listen. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. Listen to the story. Let your mind come up with, follow the story. Maybe you're in a movie of the story, because guided meditation is always, I find, easiest.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can let the other person take you away. But anyway, the thing I wanted to give you was this. Maybe just sit and imagine, put your focus and your attention on the bridge of your nose. That's it. It's just on the bridge of your nose. And you'll find that as you put your attention on the bridge of your nose, the traffic outside is kind of secondary. You know? And noise pops in, and it doesn't have to pull you out. And if it does, you just go back to the bridge of your nose. Oh, okay. What's at the bridge of my nose? I don't know, nothing. It's just there. Right? And try that. Let me know next week if that helped you at all. First of all, stop trying. And if you feel like your mind is just, okay, so another thing I do too is I imagine the thoughts that are distracting, like you're trying to sit for 20 minutes and all you can think about is I have to go pick up the kids, I have to go food shopping, my mother-in-law said this to me, blah, 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 right? So you imagine, take every one, those thoughts, put it in a little bubble, send it away. Like, sorry, talk to me later because for 20 minutes I'm doing nothing. Give yourself permission for 10 minutes to do nothing. The thoughts that distract you, that have nothing to do with peace or nothing to do with inspiration for a great idea for a product you want to build or whatever it is. I'll even say, like, talk to the hand. Come back later. I'm busy right now.
Talk to the hand.
I'm busy doing nothing right now. Right? Find your own way to just kind of deflect it. But I find what's easy to is just to go back to the bridge of your nose because it'll tune everything else out. And that just helps you get that deeper connection to your center. Play around with it without trying, really, just playing, like a little kid playing. Oh, let me do the bridge of the nose thing. That wasn't so great. Okay, let me try sticking thoughts into bubbles. Oh, yeah, that was pretty good. Just play with these ideas or things you've heard from other teachers without thinking it has to be that way. These are all, everybody wants to try and give some kind of words to something that really is, you can't explain. Because when you're in that energy, there's like no words for that. But we try to tell you ways that have worked for us that maybe could work for you. But I find that can be so confusing that it's better just to accept whatever is there and be like, or even if the thought, I can't meditate, but I could sit for 5 minutes, whether I meditate or not. At least I'm sitting for 5 minutes. That stops everything.
It does.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
get one of those apps on your phone with maybe the binaural beat apps. My son told me about one recently. I'll tell you the name of it. And you put the earbuds in, it'll take you somewhere. What is it called? It's beat something or other. No, I can't find it. Here somewhere. I haven't used it. Okay, beatfulness. Beatfulness.
Beatfulness.
B-E-A-T. B-E-A-T, fullness.
Okay.
It's so small I need reading glasses for that.
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, that was fun.
She also has a follow-up question. She says, what about healing? How do you start learning this?
Learning what?
Healing.
Healing?
Healing.
He's just full of questions. All right. Here's my same answer. And I get this a lot lately. If you have the desire to do healing work, you're a healer. You've been a healer many times, many lives. You can take courses which help you to find the confidence in it. Like I've taken lots of courses, I have lots of certificates, but ultimately no one's ever asked me to see my certificates. No one's ever asked me to show it to them. I don't have them on the wall. I have them actually in a little cute binder. Mm-hmm. If anyone wants to see them, I can show them. But I feel like anybody can bring energy into their hands. That healing energy, you can just bring it into your hands. Maybe play with it. Play with it with yourself, with other people. Okay, so that's my answer. If you have a desire to be a healer, you're already a healer. You just don't remember it. Taking courses on whatever modality draws you in. Because I know I've been drawn somehow that I hear something and I have to do it. It's like I have to do it. There's no not doing it.
Yeah.
So if any of that's been calling out to you, I mean, Reiki's an easy way to get your hands to get your feet wet into, there's so many healing modalities.
From a law of attraction perspective, what it really amounts to is if you focus on healing, you're healing. If you focus on getting better, you're getting better. If you focus on health, you're getting health. So
did she mean healing for herself or to heal others?
She's indeterminate in the way she asked it. She just asked, "What about healing? How do you start with learning this?" So it could.
Yeah, I think she means to learn how to be a healer. So, yeah. Or if not, she can correct us.
But either way, I mean, if you're trying to learn how to be a healer, you just keep focusing on learning to be a healer, and you're going to get stuff. Stuff's going to come.
I'll tell you. Yeah, just tell Spirit, listen, whatever it is, the best way for me to step into this role as a healer in this life, send it to me. Mm-hmm. They'll send it to you.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see an ad you'll be on your Facebook stream and some ad will pop up.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that's interesting. Check it out. See how you feel. Do you feel drawn to it?
In fact,
and then if you feel drawn to it, I'd say that's a good.
I'd also add that you're likely to get more than one, because that's what I've noticed when the law of attraction starts bringing stuff to you. It doesn't just bring you one; it brings you like 3 or 4 or 5. Knowing that any of those might be the one that you decide to latch on to. So there's going to be a bunch of them probably.
Yeah, so see what you resonate with. See what draws you the most. Like, not from your mind, from your heart.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
She qualified. She says she wants to learn to heal others, mainly damaged animals.
Okay. In an energetic way? She can search that. I'd say Reiki would be an easy one right off the bat, mm-hmm. But she can do some searching on that. Best healing modalities to help injured animals. See what comes up.
Yeah, Google is great for that kind of thing because all you have to do is just ask. If you can formulate the question and type the question, Google will give you stuff related to whatever it is you're asking about.
Even if you don't even know how to formulate it, it'll populate for you.
Yeah, it often will. Yeah, it'll still fill in the blanks. It'll spell the words.
Yeah. You're like, oh, somebody else searched that before. Let me go check that out.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's really good at piecing that stuff together. But good questions. I think was there one more? Let me see what I got here. Well, actually, Jeffrey had a couple of comments to what we were talking about earlier about meditations. He says, you can't do it wrong. Start out slow and don't be so hard on yourself. And I don't know if this helps, but I lay down and listen to music when I meditate. Short guided meditations, find our YouTube are a good way to start. So a lot of the same thing that you were saying, but yeah, same concepts right there.
I have a good one on my YouTube channel, and it's for, Finding Peace. I forget now. It hits like 3 different areas.
She's got more specific. Sarah says, I have a strong pull to heal abused, scared horses. I feel this is what I'm good at.
Okay. She's probably done it before.
Yeah, I should say. Well, especially if she says that's what she feels that she's good at. On some level, she had to have done it before.
Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to find that video of mine.
Jeffrey replied to her saying, thank you for doing this. I carry horse medicine, Shoshone tradition. It is so needed in this world.
There we go. So the guided meditation on my YouTube channel is Finding Peace, Finding Your Path, and Shining Your Light. It's a good one.
Okay.
I like it. You can listen to it right there.
Okay. Is that a new one?
On my YouTube channel, you just search Linda Armstrong Energy Healer. You'll get my channel.
Okay. Is that the one for what? Is there another one that you did this week, or is that the one for this week? Or
the one I put out today?
Yeah.
The one today is Releasing 10 Limiting Beliefs.
Oh, those are always
it's
good.
Like, it feels like meditation, but it's not totally meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's 10 common limiting beliefs. That's what I put out today.
Oh, there's something I wanted to ask you about. Well, I actually wanted to ask you about the concept, the limiting beliefs, because it came up in another conversation on the show earlier this week. The idea that literally all of our thought processes create limits on our beliefs. I mean, the idea of a physical world is a world that has limits. So limiting beliefs are everywhere, and they're part of the fabric of things. We often, as deliberate creators, try to practice getting rid of limiting beliefs when they don't serve us anymore. But by the same token, limiting beliefs do serve us. There are a lot of ways that they serve us, and it's important to remember that, I think. And I wanted to see what your take was on that, and just to see, how do you approach the whole concept of which limiting beliefs do you go after? Do you try to go after all of them, some of them? What's your approach?
I clear limiting beliefs for people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something that you're going after that you want to create in your life, but you feel stuck, you just can't, things just aren't working, that's because there are beliefs, patterns, programs that are running in the subconscious that are standing in the way. Mm. So, I mean, say for healers, we got to clear, it's safe to be a healer. I test it, no. Yeah, it's not safe to be a healer because so many lifetimes we're killed for that.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah.
So, there's things and, that will just stand in the way because maybe you vowed never to do this again.
Oh, okay.
Like, I will never be wealthy again because every time I'm wealthy, I get killed or everybody steals my wealth or, all these different things. So you vow never again. I want to be happy. I don't need money to be happy. Whatever. Who knows what it is, right? Mm-hmm. So the way I find them is because I just tune in, I listen to, have conversation with the people I work with, and I can just hear them. I mean, you could hear it, have a conversation with someone, you can hear their limits to what they say.
True.
I'll write down what I hear as I'm talking to them, and then I'll start muscle testing to see if they hold it or not. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we did that. Actually, we found one of those in me, which I never really figured out what the root of it was, but you helped me discover that I actually had a fear of being wealthy, that I would be killed. And to this day, I don't even know why that one was there, but it was interesting that came up.
You can't remember why, because it's from past lifetimes. Mm. You can't remember why. It's there, we just want to clear it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And clearing beliefs is actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
Most of the time, the beliefs are cleared. And if there's one or two that just doesn't flip on that same call, then I just have to go deeper into it and have a conversation and dig down to what's below it, and then we clear it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did that answer the original question?
I believe so. I'm getting some thank yous from Sarah.
So a great modality for clearing limiting beliefs is theta healing.
Talk about that. 'Cause I saw that on your website, and you're certified as a theta healer. What exactly does that mean? I presume it ties into the brainwaves in some way, but I don't know how.
Yeah, because we bring ourselves into that theta brainwave, and as I bring myself into that theta brainwave, so does the person I'm working with. It just happens. Because it's energy, and I'm holding this energy in this space. They come into that same space, and from that brainwave, we connect to, the creator, those outside of us, that basically with theta healing, the creator, and we ask for these beliefs to be transformed, and we'll receive a new belief to instill. So we pull the old belief and we put in a new belief.
Okay. So it's belief substitution, really.
Yeah, kind of like that. But there's a lot more to it. But that's the basics of it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm not seeing any. Oh, what we got here? Jeffrey says, I don't generally like labels, but do you think we could accurately call Esther Hicks a medium for Abraham?
She's a channeler, so she could, I guess so.
I mean, she doesn't even like to call herself a channeler. She calls herself
But, Abraham are not like dead people. They're entities. I don't believe that they qualify themselves as people, as, like relatives that are, the mediums are going to tap into your family, basically, more of your family. But I know, see, that's the thing. Psychic mediums, they also tap into your guides, Yeah. You have to ask a medium what they think about that. Mm. I don't know. She's a channeler. She's an open channel, Yeah.
She just calls herself a receiver. So I think that probably ties back to her days when she was Southern Baptist Christian. So she has to stay away from certain words just to feel comfortable. So she calls herself a receiver rather than a channeler. Yeah. But that's essentially what she does. Oh, and Jeffrey follows up, and do you have opinions on mediums?
I love them. I've got a lot of good friends that are mediums, psychic mediums. I have a couple that I love that I go to all the time.
Yeah?
Yeah. My coach is a psychic medium.
I visited a gentleman who lives in Massachusetts who is psychic. I think he also does do medium work. I'm not 100% sure of that. But he has this... I don't know what you'd call it. It's kind of like a club. It's like a cross between a club and a workshop that he does every Tuesday in a small hall. It's like an American Legion hall or something along that line. And all these people who are his regulars will gather in the room, and they'll just be doing all kinds of stuff. There'll be people with dowsing rods, and other people with cards, and other people, just doing readings and feeling energy. And it's an interesting event to go to because it's almost like going to a fair or a conference or something like that. Where you have workshops and you've got the tables out front selling the merch. It's like that, but without the workshops and the merchandise. It's like all these activities going on in almost like a circus kind of atmosphere. It's kind of wild.
It's funny. I was saying my coach is a psychic medium. I know her for a long time. And she was talking about how one of her teachers was coming here from England giving this course on the weekend. And I don't know why I didn't realize the course was really for mediums and trance channeling, right?
Okay.
Going into trance and channeling. So I signed up for this thing. And this is some years ago. Like I wasn't as connected as I am now. I guess this is part of how I did become this way. But I went to this thing, right? And I get there, I'm all excited. I'm doing this course. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I felt like I had to do it, right? I didn't really know what it was about. I didn't even ask her what it was about. I'm like, oh, sign me up, right? So I go there, and I'm in a room. There's like 25 people, and Eamon Downey Jr. Is it Downey? Yeah. From England, there's some institute, I forget the name, Arthur Murray Institute, where, a lot of psychics get trained there, and mediums. So I realize I'm sitting there in this group of like 25 people. They're all mediums. I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? Oh my God. I wanted to like hide. I was like, oh, holy shit. But I'm here now. I paid for it. Yep. I'm like, all right, let's go for it. And it was a struggle for me at first, but they were also helpful. Like we had to break off into groups and do medium work for each other. Mm-hmm. And some of them were just so good, they do it professionally. Mm-hmm. And here I am, I'm like, okay. And so I'm supposed to be reading for this one person, right? And I have things popping in my mind, and in my head, and I'm like I'm judging myself what I would say because I don't know what the frick I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
And they were nice because one guy's like, no, you just saw something. What did you see? Just say it. It doesn't matter. Just say what it is. I'm like, well, I kind of saw this swimming pool and there was this, and I'm describing something. And the woman I'm reading for says, "Oh my God, that's my grandmother's swimming pool." I'm like, what? They helped me to see what I was seeing.
Mm.
We all have this ability. They helped me to see it, and I'm like, and to trust it. I'm like, they're like, just say whatever comes in. Don't worry about it. We'll see if it resonates. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's how you learn. I'm like, oh, okay. But really, it took me a while to, and then we get into the trans-channeling part. I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? But stuff was coming through. Like, I was just doing what they were asking and going along with it, not expecting anything because I knew better. Like, I don't know how to do this. I'll just wing it. Mm-hmm. And it was happening. I did that for like 3 or 4 years in a row.
Did you really? Wow.
This course that I thought, and every time I was like, halfway through, I'm like, I think I'm just going to leave. This is too hard. I can't do this. But I would stick it out and I'd have some sort of a breakthrough every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The experience that you described reminds me of a physical world experience that I had with Louise, because she went through that health thing with her hyperthyroidism and so forth. And along with it, she had atrial fibrillation. And the first time that she had that, she asked me to take her pulse. Now, I'm no medical person. I mean, I barely know where a pulse can be found or what it's like, you know. So I'm trying to take a pulse, and I'm feeling the pulse, and it's like a jazz drum. It's not a steady beat. It's like all over the place. And my first reaction was, well, that can't be right. I didn't trust it. Even I was actually reading it right, you know, but I didn't believe it because, no, that's not the way a heartbeat is. A heartbeat is boom, 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 boom. That's what a heartbeat is, right? And it wasn't that, you know, so it wasn't what I expected. And so I dismissed it. And then I found out later, oh, I really had it right. I just didn't believe it. I didn't accept it. It's more of a real world example than an energy example, but it's the same feeling, really.
Okay, I just pulled yin yang upside down.
Ah, okay.
Let's see why. What's that about? I need reading glasses. All right. So it's about passive, active, and intuitive and logical. Okay, yin yang. I do have glasses somewhere. Some days my eyes are totally fine and other days they're not. But I'll tell you what, because usually they said at age 40, this happens. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's not happening to me. Mm-hmm. It didn't happen to me until after age 50.
Okay.
And barely. So I'm still not allowing it all that much. Good. All right, so yin and yang reversed. Says this card reverse reveals a yang cycle, which is one of active outgoing energy. This time calls for a more logical approach to things, but the logic needs to be applied to purposeful action. This cycle is often marked by creativity and new beginnings, sometimes with significant outer change. Let yourself apply more forceful energy to the task at hand and take advantage of this highly charged yang time. All right, so I guess we might be coming into it. I mean, you and I both kind of had a lull this past week.
Right.
Maybe we're coming into a more active energy expression coming up this week.
Well, Alex is going to like that because Alex and I are working on this script for this fiction podcast series, and she just did some work the last couple of days on her end of it. Now it's my turn, and I've been kind of putting it off. So it's a good time to start getting the energy because now I can put my energy into doing that. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So ask your guide. Say, okay, send me the inspiration.
Yes.
I got the paper.
Boy.
Here's my pen. Talk to me.
Yes. And that's fortunately something I've been practicing with the podcast. So I'm becoming more comfortable, I think is the word, with just letting it flow. Because they're more and more on the podcast. We're not doing fixed topics like we used to do. I mean, sometimes we do, but for the most part, it's just kind of what's the first word of the conversation? Okay, let's just go with that. And that's fun because then you never really know how it's going to go. Even we're surprised by how it's going to go, which makes it interesting and entertaining for us.
It's almost like you just put the intention out that whatever needs to flow will come, you know, for whoever's listening at this time or is going to be listening to this.
Actually, that would be almost too much pressure for me. It's more like just see what comes out and don't worry about it. Because if I try to give it any more than that, it's like, oh, God, I got to know a whole audience of people I got to satisfy.
No, but Spirit knows. So you're just like, just make the words come out.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Exactly. That I just limit it to that. If I do that, then I can handle it. Then I can just kind of let whatever comes out come out. Very simply.
All right, the family card came up too. And this card seems to be coming up a lot this week with anyone I happen to be working with.
Really?
Oops. Need these guys again. This one's about, it says the situation is rooted in an emotional experience with a family member which we can help you to understand and heal. And your mind and heart surround this person, yourself, and the experience with calming blue lights and many angels. Be open to the gifts within the situation and allow yourself to feel peace. So, I mean, if Jeffrey was thrown off, but remember the first question was like what to do. Mm-hmm. If it was a family thing or someone who feels like family, if it was related to a person, maybe this card is for you. I don't know.
Okay.
But, yeah, just look for the gift within the situation. You know?
A family card could apply to a lot of people for sure. I mean, I know you always say that anyway, that these cards really apply to everybody who's listening, but especially a family card because everybody has family stuff to deal with. So I would think that would apply to just probably almost everybody who's listening in right now.
It's in the air because a lot of people have been getting that card that I've been working with over the past week. Mm. I don't particularly have anything going on with the family myself, but who knows? Maybe it's family in a bigger aspect, not just your immediate family. You know,
there's
maybe it's your business family. Maybe it's. I
mean, for myself, I've actually had a lot of contact with my family, my immediate family, within the past couple of days. A lot more than normal. My family and I are kind of unusual. There are a lot of people who will regularly stay in touch, right? Have a phone conversation once a week or interact through social media or something like that. My family, we might talk every, 2 weeks in a row and then not talk to each other for another 3 months. I mean, that's just, and we drive Louise crazy because she's used to that regular kind of contact, So my point is that when we have had like 2 or 3 different contacts within the last few days. Not that there's anything wrong, it's just we've had a lot of contacts in the last few days. So
all right.
That alone makes it relevant for what's going on in my life anyway.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey's saying thank you for the card. He started to ask a question, then you answered it. So you're on top of things there, Linda. Well done.
We aim to please.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's got about 10 minutes left. So before we get to the end where I do the promo announcements, where do I want to go with this? Energy. Energy is something that I'm still learning. I mean, I've learned a lot just by talking with you about it. And I was even noticing at some point early on in today's conversation that I think it was just after, there was one point you were telling a story about how, I think it was the journaling, where your energy was just like all over. You could just feel it in all different directions. Just before that, I had noticed that I was feeling energy. And I'm saying that because I am tending to experience that thing more and more when I'm talking with you, not necessarily so much when I'm talking with my other co-hosts. And so I'm thinking, I wonder if this is just me giving myself permission because I'm talking to Linda. Like, it's okay when I'm talking to Linda. I wonder if that's why I'm only experiencing it then.
So why don't you play with that this week and invite it in? Say, okay, tell your guys, I'm getting this energy thing to some degree. I'd like to. The thing is, maybe you only notice it. Maybe your attention's only on it when you're talking to me because that's my world.
Maybe.
So pay attention to when you feel expand. I mean, ever just like doing something and all of a sudden, wow, something's different. I don't even know what it is, but you notice something's different.
Well, I notice it very physically. I mean, each time with me, and it's gotten a little bit stronger each time, I feel it in my arms, on the tops of my arms. I feel it in my head, down my chest, down the sides. So it's like this arc here, this arc shape. That's where I'm feeling the energy. And I feel it right now pretty strongly.
All right, so listen, your guides are trying to talk to you, and maybe they can connect to you better when you're on with me. Right?
Maybe.
So let's ask them to have you have this experience throughout your life in general more, so that you can start to open. If you want to, you can say, let them know. Listen, I'm ready to open up to more of this. I know it's a part of me that I kind of kept down for a while. I didn't see it, acknowledge it. But I mean, that's what the whole awakening's about, right? We're all awakening to our truth that we are far more than these physical bodies and these tables and furniture and stuff, right?
True.
Yeah. And we are continually being downloaded with information, ways of being, programs even, that are going to support us.
Wow.
Woo! You're feeling it.
I'm really
They're
getting
going to
it right
support
now.
us
Yeah.
to expand into more of who we are and what we're here for, right? So if something's shifting within you, just welcome it.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome. This is
You
something.
don't have to understand it. Like, so you could even say, okay, I'm getting this energy thing now. This is really cool. I like it. Can you help me to understand what it is that's happening? What am I being downloaded with? What am I opening to? Send me some signs that help me to understand it more. And they'll send it to you in the way that's best for you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, consider the request put out there. That's really something.
I told you about the time when my eyes were going all crazy, right?
You might have, but I don't remember. So tell me again.
A couple of years ago, out of nowhere, I was just got up walking from one room to the other in my house, and all of a sudden I had to sit down. I couldn't move because my eyes felt like they were independently moving in every direction.
Yeah, two Mad-Eye Moody's.
Oh my God.
Two Mad-Eye Moody eyes from the Harry Potter series. Mad-Eye Moody had the eyes that went off in all directions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't remember that.
That's all right.
Anyway, this was what was happening, so that's why I couldn't move because I couldn't find I just was there, but it was freaking me out a little bit. I knew it was some kind of energetic thing, but I didn't really know because it was really freaky. Mm-hmm. So I called my husband over. I'm like, Gavin, you gotta come and look at my eyes. So he comes running over and he's like, what? I'm like, look at my eyes. They're going in every direction. And he's like, no, you're looking straight at me. I'm like, no, they're going in every direction. He goes, no, you're looking straight at me. I'm like, no, I'm not. And he's like, Linda, your eyes are not moving. I'm like, okay. So then I was just breathing and I just waited until it kind of calmed down. But meanwhile, he was leaving the next day for South Africa for a world tournament.
Oh, my.
World tournament.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, my God. So we call one of our students who's a doctor, works in the ER and different things. And we described to him what happened. And he asked me to check a few things, one eye. He's like, no, I've never heard of anything like this before, but it doesn't sound like anything you have to worry about. I'm like, okay. So, awakening in different, things come in. Freaky things happen.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, he was away, and then I'm out shopping or something, and I start getting kind of dizzy, and I was going to go into another store. Things were not dizzy, but I didn't have my bearings again. I'm like, oh, I better just go home. But I managed to drive myself home, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't get to finish the shopping of the things I needed to pick up. So I went the next day. I'm like, oh, I'm good now. And I go to a store, and I didn't find what I needed in that store. So I go across the street to this other store, and I was getting out of the car. I'm like, oh, my God, it's happening again. I better try and get home. So I get myself back. Luckily, it was right by one of these, clovers or whatever you want to call that. I get onto this road, go onto the Palisades Interstate Parkway to come back to my house. Yeah. And I'm like, I can't drive. I get on, I get right off, back onto the road that I was on, which is Route 59 in Nanuet, New York. Uh-huh. And right there is where I was, where I started out, was an urgent care kind of thing. I'm like, I better just go in there. Uh-huh. So I just went in there. I called my son. I'm like, I can't drive. I don't know what the heck's happening. They wound up sending me to the ER.
Wow.
And there was nothing wrong with me. They took all these, I knew there was nothing wrong with me. But at the same time, you don't want to be stupid. What if there really is something wrong with you?
Sure.
So I had all the tests, and my husband is away. I managed to talk to him. He's in South Africa. I managed to get him, told him, I said, I don't think it's anything to worry about, but I'm in the hospital.
An interesting way to start a conversation, yes.
My son was with me, and I'm like, listen, guys, whatever this is, it is. There's something going on, we'll just deal with it, whatever it is. Wound up leaving, And as I'm in the park, and one of my brothers came to be with my son, because my son, was young then, and he's like, so I'm like, I knew it was some freaky awakening thing, but I didn't want to tell them that, because they would have put me in the loony bin,
Well,
like, listen, my eyes were going in every direction like 2 days ago. I never even told them that, because I thought they would really think I was crazy,
I hear you.
So stuff happens, like sometimes you get these big jolts and they kind of like expand you into where you're going even more, even though you don't exactly have all the pieces to that puzzle. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the fun part of the journey, right?
Well, I'll tell you, while you were telling that story, I just had a memory come back from when I was, I'm going to say, early teens, where I grew up. There was a shopping center, a small, what we might call a strip mall, but it was in a U shape that was about 3 or 4 blocks from where I lived. It's where I had my first job in the grocery store, that kind of thing. And I remember being there one time, and you know how a photographer will take a photograph using a short distance lens, so that what they often call a fisheye lens. So it makes everything take in a wider frame. And the proportions look strange. It's almost like you have that the proportions coming down to a single line because it's further in the distance, that kind of thing. That was happening in real time, in my real experience, with the contours of the shopping center, and I had no idea what to make out of it. I mean, I was just lost. It was like all the shopping center was distorting, and I realized that I buried that because I knew it was crazy. You don't go talking about that to people. That's like, oh yeah, okay, right. Where are the guys with the white jackets? Bring them along now. So I just buried it, but I'm realizing that really did happen, and I don't know what it means.
So now you're paying attention more to just notice these things, and you just be like, all right, so what kind of shift? I mean, the planet's shifting, everything's shifting, and things are going to be changing, big time at least. I think so. Who knows? We'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, it's kind of fun, but if it's something that's a little really freaky, you might want to have it checked out. You don't just assume, oh yeah, I'm going through spiritual awakening. That's why, blah, blah. We don't want to be.
Yeah, you don't want it to be an actual physical cause going on.
You want to check things out.
Right. Yeah, and that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. We got just a minute or two left. I want to make sure I get my announcements. And if you're not yet a subscriber to the podcast, hey, what are you waiting for? Look at all the cool content you get. I mean, every single show is completely different. And I say that every time, Linda. Literally every show is completely different. Yeah. Every single one. Even though it's always the same topic, law of attraction. But become a subscriber by going to the homepage, loatoday.net. We've got it set up now so that at the top of the page, the first big icon you'll see will be one that's perfect for your device. You just click it. It'll walk you through the steps. And once you're done, you are subscribed. And then after that, make sure that you're listening to the episodes and that you're letting people know on social media, hey, I just listened to Elevate Today. Cool episode. Here's what they talked about. Whatever it is you want to say, but spread the word so that more and more people can get their daily dose of happy, because you are our best advertisers. So thank you for participating. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that. And thank you, Linda. I mean, this has been great. I love these conversations we're doing on Friday.
It's fun.
Yeah. Exploring the world of energy. Thanks to our live stream listeners as well, to our podcast listeners, and we'll see you all next time here on Elevate Today. Goodbye, everybody. Whoops. Get the music on. Music doesn't turn until I hit the button. There it is.
There we go.
I kept missing the button.
That's because we're still floating.
That's what it is, yeah.